Hey everybody, this is Babbling Brook, and yes, I am alive and well. So since the last talk to you guys, reality has become so skewed, so much further than I think anybody could have possibly imagined. Things have gotten so crazy that I'm afraid that my crazy eye is going to get stuck like this forever. And eventually I'll just morph into Cousin Cindy and wear way too much eyeliner, grow like horrible orange streaks in my hair, and just like, oh my god, you guys don't even know, with like the massive red lipstick and shit, and I just won't ever be able to come back from it. Holy shit, that just became an actual fear. When most people hear something stupid or crazy or just absolutely ridiculous, they roll their eyes. But I naturally don't. Like, for instance, if somebody says something like, Hillary should have won, I naturally will be like, I don't roll. It just doesn't work for me. It just, my crazy eye comes out. And things have gotten so stupid lately that I'm legitimately worried that it might just get stuck this way forever. But come to think of it, when I look at the world normally lately, things have been looking really, really insane. So who knows, maybe a permanent crazy eye will help balance things out. Or maybe I'll permanently morph into Cousin Cindy. So Trump is doing a really great job as president, and more people are actually coming around to supporting him. And the left is doing what they do best, whining like a bunch of bitches about absolutely nothing. Besides the miracles that are happening in Korea and the end of the ridiculous Iran deal, the economy is booming, unemployment is extremely low, and unlike the unemployment numbers that were dropping under Obama's administration, these numbers are dropping because people are actually getting jobs, and they're actually going back to work. Did you guys know that when Obama bragged about unemployment going down under his administration, the numbers didn't just include people who found jobs. No, those numbers also included people who still hadn't found work, but their unemployment had run out, so they were no longer collecting it. So they counted those people too. So my favorite uncle came over the other day. Shout out to Uncle Mike. And I've known for a while that he and I agree on the vast majority of political issues, but it was pretty cool when I mentioned something that I'd heard on Crowder, and he's like, oh, Louder with Crowder. I was like, holy shit, my favorite uncle watches the same stuff I do. Turns out he's also seen Ben Shapiro, and he's a Jordan Peterson fan as well. So that was pretty exciting for me because you have to understand, he has been one of my heroes like my whole life. I've looked up to him my whole life. And I grew up with a single mom, so the men that I looked up to growing up were just larger than life to me. My papa, who is my mom's father, and my Uncle Mike, who's my mom's little brother, were my absolute heroes. Now, I don't use that term lightly, and even as a child, they weren't my heroes because they were the men in my life. No, my papa was a fighter pilot in World War II, and he won the Navy's highest honor, the Flying Cross, not once, but twice. My Uncle Mike recently retired, but he was the sergeant of police my whole life, and he was even the head of the SWAT team at one point. He's an extremely honest, upstanding person. He was a great cop. In fact, he actually reached his maximum salary long before he retired. But rather than take the promotions that the department kept trying to give him that would take him off the streets and put him behind a desk, no, he decided to do the right thing and keep his eyes on the community and his men. He's extremely decent. He's one of the best people I know, and I'm extremely blessed to be a part of his family. Anyhow, he came over the other day and we're talking politics, and there are people in our family on the left. So as we're sitting there discussing politics, my Uncle Mike asked this simple yet brilliant question. What has Trump done that's been bad for this country? Crickets. Complete silence. Finally, I just can't stand him. Uncle Mike's simple answer? That's because you're caught up in the rhetoric. Mic drop. Boom. Uncle Mike, mic drop. Wow, that's really stupid and corny, but it works. He didn't get upset. He was relaxed, spoke calmly, was thoughtful, logical, and didn't get worked up. Now, if you look at how the left acts with their violence, screaming, name-calling, crying, whining, deplatforming, conservatives look like angels in comparison. But we do still get super passionate about our positions, as we should. But sometimes being passionate comes across as being confrontational, argumentative, and angry. And rather than sparking the debate and discussion that we're looking for, we're inadvertently giving the left what they feel is justification for their craziness. So after watching the calm and reasonable way that my uncle, who's a veteran police officer, handled this discussion, I watched a video of Dave Rubin at the University of New Hampshire, which I'll link in the description below. Now, it was a complete shit show. And not because of Dave, but because of the so-called protesters, if you can even call them that. It was majorly pathetic, you guys. You guys gotta watch it. The protesters standing up two at a time and repeating ridiculous mantras. First, it was two white people spouting Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter over and over again. Just absolutely ridiculous, right? Then this one chick was like, I don't know if it was pennies or marbles or something in a jar. She just kept shaking. Fucking retards, I swear to God. And then, oh, this was great. And then there was a Q&A. And this one massive cunt stood up and tried to turn the whole thing into the massive cunt show and basically take over the whole fucking thing. And she, oh my gosh, you guys, craziness. Literally, there's people holding up the mics for people to ask questions. And the very first thing this bitch says is very sarcastically and very snarky. As, the guy's holding the mic for her to ask a question, she's like, free speech, but he's holding the mic for me. What? Oh my God. Facepalm, crazy eye, hair tearing, all at once. I was losing my shit watching this fucking freak fest, right? Absolutely insane. Now, for those of you who don't have an hour and 11 minutes to watch the entire Dave Rubin video at the University of New Hampshire, the Massive Cunt Show starts at 30 minutes, 10 seconds in and goes all the way to 42 minutes, 37 seconds in. 12 full minutes and the bitch still wanted to keep going. It is insane. So I'm watching this video, doing the whole facepalm, crazy eye, hair tearing thing, and Dave Rubin, who is actually there dealing with these freaks in person, is laughing, telling security to let them stay. He is calm, cool, collected. He actually is asking for a conversation. Do you have a question for me? He doesn't even get worked up, and he would be completely justified to do so. I mean, these people were directly disrespecting him. The one thing, I think he told somebody to shut the fuck up once. But, he was just like, come on, shut the fuck up. It wasn't like he wasn't angry. He was calm, cool, and collected. Kept his cool the entire time. And he would be completely justified to lose his shit on these people, but he didn't. So, after watching one of my lifelong heroes deal with left-wing opposition, I watched who's now one of my new heroes deal with it on a massively horrific scale. They both dealt with it with dignity, logic, and grace, and I was seriously inspired. With the left finding everything offensive these days, they will use the passion that conservatives speak with as an excuse to fight instead of discuss, to demonize instead of listen, and to deplatform and to try and take away our fundamental right to free speech. And it's seriously refreshing to watch conservatives give the left absolutely no excuse to do any of those things. When you handle discourse with the kind of patience and just overall calm that Dave Rubin and my Uncle Mike do, you give the left absolutely no excuse to act the way they do. And when they end up acting that way anyways, they're doing what we want anyhow. When people who are either more center or maybe liberal but not radical left see the left reacting to calm, logical discussion with craziness, violence, and just absolute insanity, they feel the need to distance themselves from those people as much as possible. Think about it. The majority of people who are red-pilled aren't convinced by conservatives. No. The red pill is literally shoved down their throats by the radical left. Normal liberals who disagree with anything the far left, any of their values, when they disagree with anything the left does, the left ends up attacking, therefore shoving the red pill down these people's throats. And they just end up being, the normal people end up being more and more conservative. Don't misunderstand me. I'm always going to be Babbling Brook. I've got some parodies in the pipeline, and I'm not going to stop making fun of the crazy fucktards in the world on my channel. But in real life, I'm going to take a lesson from Dave Rubin and my Uncle Mike. Next time I come face to face with the craziness, I'm going to remain calm, take a deep breath, and smile. I'm going to use logic and reason to make my point like I always do, but I'm going to set my passion aside and save that for my channel. Because sometimes passion is mistaken for anger, and I'm not going to give the left any reason to justify their bullshit. This is Babbling Brook. Love y'all.